Hello, Chavre, how are you? I hope everyone is gesund, stark, und freilich, begashmis und beruchnis. I hope everyone is healthy, strong, and happy physically and spiritually. Und die alle Jeden, was davon geholfen werden, und was für ihnen sollen sein, sollen geholfen werden, take from Yad Mamish. And all those that need to be helped in any way whatsoever should be helped by Hashem immediately. We are now going to discuss the thought for the week for Parshas Re'eh. Before we begin, we'll start with a posik from the Rebbe's new kapitel, and this time we'll speak about the posik Nun of kapitel Kufyutes. Zois nechamosi v'yoni kimroscha chiyasni. This is my comfort in my affliction, for your word has given me life. So what the posik is talking about, you could say that we're referring to generally life on this planet Earth. Sometimes every one of us finds themselves in circumstances that could be called affliction because something is not right. And David HaMelech says, Zois nechamosi v'oni ki imroscha chiyasni. This, and when it says Zois, you could point with it, with your fingers. Marabetz boyvay mazeh Zois, it was this that kept me going because I lived. Your word gave me life. But it's in such a way that it's his reality. He's completely electrified. He's completely galvanized. He's rejuvenated through the words of Hashem. He lives with it, and that gives him spirit, life, and energy. This week's Parsha, being part of being part of the Chumash Dvarim, is all part of Moshe Rabbeinu's talking to the Yidden, inspiring them, arousing them to serve Hashem. So, in the first pasuk of Parshas Re'eh, it says, Re'eh, see, Anoichi noisen lefnechem hayoim bracha klala. Moshe Rabbeinu says, see, I present before you today a blessing and a curse. That's the literal translation. And Moshe is saying that there's one way to lead life, following Hashem's commandments, and will bring blessings, and the opposite, ignoring Hashem's will, and that will bring the opposite of blessings. There's a tremendous Baal Ha'Turim over here in the beginning of the Parsha, on the first pasuk. And he brings different interpretations to the words Re'eh Anoichi. What does it mean to see? And what does Anoichi mean? So one interpretation he brings, Re'eh Anoichi, Re'eh Aseret Hadibros Sheposach Be'Anoichi Uskayim Oisam Ki Chol HaMitzvos Klulos Behem. The phrase Anoichi could mean see the 10 commandments which begin with the word Anoichi. So it goes on Hashem, and fulfill them, for all the mitzvahs are included within them. So the simple meaning is Re'eh Anoichi. Remember, live with it as if you see it in front of your eyes. It should be a vivid thing. When you think of the Anoichi Hashem Alkecha, I am the Lord your God, which is the beginning of the 10 commandments, that will help you fulfill all the commandments, because all the commandments are included in the 10 commandments, which begin with the word Anoichi, I am. So, what is the meaning of that? Well, on the most simplistic level, it means really that, just to move a bit away from the literal words of the Baal Ha'Turim, it means that if a person remembers that there's a commander, there's the King of all kings, Hashem, and that He has commanded us, if you remember the Anoichi, if you remember God, that will inspire you to keep all the mitzvahs. And it also means technically, as the Baal Ha'Turim says, that all the commandments, one way or another, are included in a more general form in the 10 commandments. But those who study Chassidus understand that this statement of the Baal Ha'Turim is the fundamental foundation of all of Judaism. As in truth, the statement of Anoichi Hashem Alkecha is the foundation of all of Judaism. The Alter Rebbe talks about this in chapter 20 and 21 of the Tanya, but we're going to speak about it even more general, which is that when we speak about what's the contribution of Chassidus, the most common answer and true answer is that the Baal Shem Tov was the one who expounded upon and spread the concept of Achdus Hashem, the oneness of Hashem. And the point was, according to Chassidus, it's not so much about that there's one God, but that there's one reality. Ein oid milvadei. There's nothing else but Him. As the Tzemach Tzedek brings in the mitzvah of Achdus Hashem, that the whole teachings, all of the teachings of the Baal Shem Tov was to take the person's ani, letters Aleph Nun Yud, and it should be transformed into ayin, which means taking the I and turning it into nothingness. Meaning to say, we should merge, become united with the only true reality. And our lives should express that truth, that concept. So too, it's very well known what the Alter Rebbe, the son of the Alter Rebbe, wrote in his introduction to Imre Bina, that all the talks of my father throughout all the years was about engraving in all of his followers this consciousness of Achdus Hashem, that there's only one existence, God. Now this is not the time or place to get into the whole concept. The Alter Rebbe's famous Shahrei Yichud Ve'emunah speaks all about it. But we'll just go straight to the point. Re'ei Anכי. See it, live with it. That there's only one true I, and that will bring you to fulfill all the mitzvahs. There's a story, a fascinating story, which is brought down in Rabbi Tursky's book of Generation to Generation that he heard from his father. But I highly doubt that the story happened with the Alter Rebbe, because this story is not brought down in sources of Chabad. But the content is amazing. And that is as follows. This is the story, the way it's written there, that one time the Alter Rebbe had a question, and he came and he knocked on the Mezeritcher Maggid's door, and the Mezeritcher Maggid said, "Who is it?" And the Alter Rebbe answered, "It is I." So the Maggid says, "Come in, Zalmin you." That was the Alter Rebbe's name. And the Alter Rebbe asked this question, the Maggid answered his question, and then the Maggid told him, "Vorgesundheit, sei gesund, be well, have a nice journey." Alter Rebbe didn't understand what exactly this was. All of a sudden he's telling him, "Have a nice trip." But if the Rebbe, the Maggid, told him to have a nice journey, as soon as he left the Maggid's home, he started traveling, he started walking. And he was walking and traveling, and he was already outside of Mezritch, and he's walking on some road, and all of a sudden he hears, "You, hello, come here." And he goes to the person next to the road, and the person says, "We've been looking for a tzente. We have a bris. We want to make a bris, and you are the 10th man. We need a minyan." Wow, Baruch Hashem, you're mamish malach, the Eibishter sent an angel so that we should be able to have a minyan for the bris. Okay, Alter Rebbe goes, follows this person. There's a bris, and there's a meal, and the Alter Rebbe is part of the meal, and they bench, and the Alter Rebbe is about to leave. All of a sudden, the balabusta, the missus of the home, starts screaming, "Oi! Who stole a silver spoon? There's been a geneva, there's been a theft. Someone stole some of the silverware." All eyes turn to the stranger, the Alter Rebbe, and they say, "Hello, it was very nice of you to join the minyan, and we're very grateful. But if you needed money, we would have given you some tzedakah. You don't have to steal." So the Alter Rebbe said, "Not I, it wasn't me. Hello, just admit it. We know everyone over here, they're all trustworthy, so just admit it. Not I." They say, "Not only you're a thief, you're a liar too." And they all accosted him and started beating him up, and they fell on him, and he's screaming, "Not I, not I, not I." Meanwhile, as all this culprit in these stories, it was the butler. In this case, it wasn't the butler, it was the maid. The maid saw an innocent person being beaten up because of this theft, so she admits he's innocent, and the maid came forward and said, "It was me." Oh, they all jump off the Alter Rebbe. "So sorry, we apologize." Okay, and the Alter Rebbe leaves. And in his mind, he figures the reason why the Maggid told him to have a nice trip was probably because they needed a minyan, and the Maggid sensed that, and the Maggid sent him to go be part of a minyan. He made his way back to Mezeritch, and the next time he saw the Maggid tells him, so how was your trip? So Alter Rebbe says, Baruch Hashem. So the Maggid says, how many times did you have to shout, not I? And the Maggid explains to him, last time when you knocked on my door and I asked you, who is it? You said, it is I. And the Maggid said, der einzige Ich is der Ich von Ankhi Hashem Elkicha. The only I is the I am the Lord your God. Hashem is the only I, the only true I, the only true existence, the only true being. The only existence that correctly can say I, Ich, is the Eibishter himself and the Eibishter alone. So see how many times you have to shout, not I, to undo the I that you said. So that's the story. And that's the tremendous lesson. And the einzige Ich is the Ich von Ankhi Hashem Elkicha. And this is the lesson for this week's Parsha, that we have to realize all of Judaism is about a Yid working on himself to enhance and cultivate the awareness, the consciousness of Ein Oid Mlvadoi, that there's no true being except for Hashem, and our whole life is to reflect that reality. That's what our lifestyle is all about. Ani lo nevreisi elo l'shamash kaini. Our bittul, our self-effacement in being loyal to Hashem and showing how we are one with Him, not a separate I, not a separate independence, not a separateness, but one totality, which is the Eibishter's true existence. And that is the meaning of life for a Yid. So now that we're coming to Shabbos Mevorchim Chodesh Elul, and the Melech is Basada, the king is in the field and smiling to us, so we have our Avodah, which is to think of the Ankhi Hashem Elkicha. And when you live like that, Zois Nechmasi, then this becomes your comfort. It's in a way of Zois, it's in a way of Re'ei. You're living it, you see it, you feel it, it's palpable, it's tangible. So as we stand before the King, we have to think less of entitlement and more of duty, and less of rights and more of obligation. The Eibush shall helfen that the Melech Basoda should see us and accept us all as those that are together with Him and united with Him. And we should all see it in the most revealed way. Begula mitzvah shleima, take it from yad mamish. Posting from my home, Be'ez Hashem Yitbarech, your man in Melbourne.